Well, we are official tonight. Look at this. Didn't have a go before. Yeah, we are. Okay. Let's call to order the regular meeting for Shafter City Council, Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. On roll call, we have Councilmember Espinoza, and he's on his way down. Got confused with the hours, so we'll have him join us shortly. So I'm going to call upon Councilmember Lopez to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance and Mayor Pro Tem Gibbons in the invocation.
Salute, pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's bow our heads. Heavenly Father, I thank you for this day you've given us. I thank you for allowing us to be here in this place. I just ask for your wisdom and guidance. Lead us in these conversations that we are going to have and the decisions to be made that will edify you and bring blessings to the city. And we thank you for what you have done and continue to do in our lives. We praise your name. Amen.
Approval of agenda.
I'll make a motion to approve.
I will second, and these are fairly loud today.
Yeah,
Thank
they're
you.
picking up well.
No,
No, it's loud.
they're loud.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Gibbons to approve the agenda.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Gibbons,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
and Kraut.
Yes. The next item is a presentation, and we've had these before us every year. And so at this time, it's on the DMV Donate Life California, April of 2021. And I'm going to have our ambassador from Shafter, who leads us, Shafter in Donate Life, and come forward at the podium, and we have a presentation.
Push the button. 3 dots.
That's this one. Now it's on. Okay. Our presentation is really a good history about the background and as well as the statistics. So I hope you get something out of this one. So it's DMV's Donate Life California month for April of 2021. Whereas organ, tissue, marrow, and blood donations are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need. And whereas more than 108,000 individuals nationwide and more than 21,000 in California are currently on the National Organ Transplant waiting list. And on average, 17 people die each day while waiting due to the shortage of donated organs. And whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic and African American communities. And whereas a single individual's donation of heart, lungs, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of up to 75 others. And where deceased organ donors saved more than 33,000 lives last year, the most ever. And whereas any person can register to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor, regardless of age or medical conditions. And whereas over 17 million Californians have signed up with the state-authorized Donate California Donor Registry to ensure their wishes to be eye, organ, and tissue donors are honored. And whereas California residents can sign up to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles, or with the Donate Life California Donor Registry online anytime at www.donatelifecalifornia.org, or for Spanish speakers at www.donevitacalifornia.org. And whereas California residents interested in saving a life through living kidney donation may visit www.livingdonationscalifornia.org. Now therefore, I, Kathy L. Pratt, Mayor of the City of Shafter, on behalf of the entire City Council, do hereby proclaim the month of April 2021 as DMV Donate Life California Month in the City of Shafter, and in doing so, we encourage all Californians to check yes when applying for or renewing their driver's license. Christine, it's my pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you
I
very
appreciate all
much.
of your
Yes.
support.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything
I
else?
may say a few words? Thank you. I've always appreciated your support, your commitment in traveling down to any event that I've invited you to. So thank you very much. All right, I'll try not to take too much of your time. I know most of you have already heard my story, but because we're online as well, I'm eager and excited to be able to share my story and hopeful to be able to inspire others to engage their family, to talk about registering about organ donation. So good evening. My name is Christine Wilson. I'm a volunteer ambassador with One Legacy, and I thank you for declaring April as DMV Donate Life California Month. This proclamation encourages all Californians to check yes when applying for and renewing their driver's license or ID card at DMV. I'm excited to be able to share my story with our newest council member, Pete Espinoza. I don't think he's ever heard my story. And so I'm just going to take a few minutes. I promised Yasmin to try and keep it, I think I got it down about 6 minutes. I am a donor family member, and I'm also a living kidney donor. My donor family member is my youngest brother, Ambrosio Salazar. Growing up, we called him Bo. Bo was our family's miracle baby. He was born as a twin, 6 weeks premature in the 60s, and Bo was a really strong fighter. Unfortunately, his twin, our brother Rodrigo, passed away at 3 days. Bo, growing up, was quiet and shy, and he struggled with physical strength. Bo's high school graduation class voted him the quietest and shy in high school. That's how quiet he was. Many didn't even know he attended school. After high school, he joined the United States Army, and he struggled because of his physical strength or lack of. He had to do boot camp twice, but he persevered and made it through boot camp and served in the Army. And we were very proud of the service to our country. When he returned home, he came back to our hometown of Arvin and began working on his degree in finance and with an emphasis of real estate development. He was really interested in real estate. So fast forward, January 4th, 2000, I received a phone call from the Highway Patrol that my brother Bo had been in a very serious traffic accident just outside of Arvin. He had been transported by helicopter to KMC, and I was the first in my family to arrive at KMC. It was there that I learned that a semi-truck failed to stop at a stop sign and collided with the car my brother was driving. I also learned that my brother Bo had suffered brain death and he was on ventilator support. I knew that Bo was a registered organ donor. Bo and I, all of us, we had driver's ed in high school. And that's when we learned about organ donation and the partnership with DMV. And this is back in the late 70s. And we made our decision to, when we got our licenses, to register at DMV. So when my mother and sisters arrived at KMC, the process necessary to carry out my brother's decision as an organ donor was explained to us compassionately for our grief and with respect to my brother's decision to donate his organs. My mother's questions were answered, and we had time with our brother before Bo became a hero. Exactly 10 days after Bo's death, my family received a letter that brought us such great comfort in our grief. The letter explained the impact that Bo's gift of life had. Bo's right kidney went to a 40-year-old Colorado man who was married with 2 kids and had been on the list for about 3 years waiting for a kidney. He had 2 small children, and he was on dialysis for kidney cancer. Bo's left kidney was transplanted into a 6-year-old girl from New York who'd been on the transplant waiting list for 2 months. This little girl who was 6 was the same age as my brother, the same age as my son when my brother passed away. My son was 6, and over the years we've celebrated so many milestones that with my brother and without my brother for my son, and graduations from high school, birthdays, and just families, events. And I think about this 6-year-old little girl who, because of my brother's gift of life, was able to enjoy these same things with her family. Bo donated a cornea, which gave the gift of restored sight to another person, and 8 others gained improved mobility through the donation of tissue. Bo's heart valves were used in heart valve replacement surgeries. I can testify that when that letter arrived 10 days after my brother Bo had passed away, it changed my grief dramatically. You see, prior to my brother Bo's death, my family and I had already experienced the loss of my 18-year-old brother who had been killed in a motorcycle accident. We'd also experienced the loss of a brother-in-law who had committed suicide. And then again, we'd lost our 3-day-old brother. So in those deaths, there was no organ donation. There was no gift of life, just senseless, tragic death. But in our suffering of the loss of our brother Bo, we received the much needed peace and comfort, knowing that Bo's gift of life was a transformation for many of those families who received that gift of life. For 35 years, my brother was a very special part of our family. And through organ donation, he became a very special person to many others and their families. So that's my donor family story. And I hope it inspires you to register if you're not already registered. So let's fast forward into 2009. I was then your city clerk, and One Legacy had requested for the very first time for the city to issue a proclamation for DMV Donate Life Month in Shafter. Given my donor family history, I was very, very happy to assist. And through the years I served as your clerk, I was able to hear many inspiring stories about the impact of organ donation. And after about 7 years of hearing these inspiring stories at council meetings, that's where my donor family story turns into a living kidney donor story. We had a newly hired clerk in City Hall, and she shared a prayer request with me, asking prayer for her sister who was on dialysis and was on the transplant list. She just got on the transplant list within that month. And as I prayed for her sister over the next few weeks, I just began to feel this burden for this woman I didn't know. And that's when I decided to contact the transplant center and ask about the donation process, what that included, educated myself, which then led to me to undergoing the testing to see if I was a match. And sure enough, what I found out was I was the only match for my coworker's sister. Her name is Michelle Hernandez, and she was from Moscow. I finally met Michelle a couple of months before surgery, and on June 30th, 2017, I gave Michelle her gift of life by donating one of my kidneys, and she got my lefty. And Michelle and I both had excellent kidney function immediately in the operating room, everything functioning properly. And we continue to both lead very active lives, almost 4 years since donation. I shared my living donor story as evidence that public education is the way of the city's proclamation, the way that it has value. It had value to me, it has value to Michelle, it has value to the community. Certainly, Michelle can testify to that, what those years of hearing the proclamation in those stories that the city provides. It saves lives, and it's my hope that the proposal that is on your agenda tonight on One Legacy's, with One Legacy, the partnership on public education, will be adopted to further expand their awareness in our community. I believe through this partnership that many, many more in our community will hear these inspiring stories. And as a donor family and as a living kidney donor. So I wanted to tell you thank you so much for considering that. I also want to call your attention to the coffee hour that have invited the civic leaders of this community and staff. It's going to be on Thursday at 1 o'clock, and I hope you can join us. It's about an hour long via Zoom, and you're going to hear more stories and more information about the public education process. We're also holding a virtual Donate Life run walk on Saturday, April 24th. I think we're going to try and gather some folks out at Riverwalk Park, and I'll share some information to see if any of you are available to join us then. And lastly, I'll just end with this quote. It's a quote that I got, that I've read on UNIS, the United Network of Organ Sharing. It says, "Without the organ donor, there's no story, no hope, no transplant. But when there is an organ donor, life springs from death, sorrow turns to hope, and a terrible loss becomes a gift." So I want to thank you very much for your time, for these proclamations year after year, and I look forward to continuing this with you. Thank you.
Where is the coffee talk?
The coffee talk is via Zoom, and you should be getting a link if you haven't already in your email.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Do you know, I've joined Christine for many years prior to her ever giving her own kidney away, but we went down to see about the float. We saw programs down there, but I got to meet Michelle, and that was the most exciting of all, because she was extremely nervous knowing what it was going to do to her, possibility that, you know, she could pass at any time. And yet she has been so successful, and it's been a treasure to really follow both of you as you recovered through that ordeal that both of you went through. And she's very appreciative. And when you get that strong connection, it's really worthy. I know. I appreciate your words.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Any other comments?
Christina, thank you for sharing that story. I know I used to think one way about donations way back, and then as time's come by, I've kind of changed my mind about it. And I signed the card too to become a donor, and also started donating blood too.
Oh, good.
Yeah,
Thank you
so-
very much.
So I appreciate everything that you just said right now. Thank
Well,
you.
I appreciate your decision. So thank you very much.
Anyone else? No? Okay. We will move on to public comment. Anyone care to address us at this time with public comment? Did we get anything?
No public comment.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to council announcements and reports. Gilbert, do you have anything for us tonight?
You know, I don't have anything to report.
Very good. Chad?
You know, the thing I do want to touch on, we had Dr. Seuss week. Yes, I still
Read
read
Across
all
America.
of Dr. Seuss's books. And yes, we did the Read Across America, and I did it with Grimway. And it was actually kind of cool because I don't know if Katie did it on purpose or not, but I had an opportunity to actually be in my own kids' class and doing it. So it's kind of neat to get to read and see all these little one-year-old faces as you're reading and trying to explain the picture over Zoom. And that was, to say the least, that was somewhat interesting to do all that over Zoom, but that was a lot of fun. And I'm very thankful to get a chance to do that. Hopefully doing that more and more as we continue on. That's all.
Thank you. Caesar?
I have nothing at this time.
Pete?
Yes, I took a tour of the Walmart cold storage facility, and I was very impressed with the technology in that building. It's unbelievable. I'd like to thank the Walmart manager, Ignacio Villa, staff members, Dennis Fiddler, Ryan Hitchcock, and Bob Meadows, who took time out of their busy schedules to show me that facility. Thank you very much. We also went to look at the Amazon warehouse location, and Dennis and Ryan showed me all the modifications that were being done to that building to get it ready to open this November. A lot of work's being done there. I listened in on the Planning Commission meeting March 9th via Zoom, and I'd just like to applaud the city staff of Shafter for everything that they do. For a city the size of Shafter and everything that's going on, I'm very impressed. Keep up the good work, and thank you very much.
Okay. You know what? You got to see Amazon. None of us have been into Amazon yet. Our turn's next, huh? Yeah.
There's a lot of work going on in the
Inside, I
inside.
understand they're building another story inside, huh?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, it has to be exciting. But the Walmart, we did have a chance to go over there. Well, Caesar joined you, didn't you?
No,
Oh, you didn't get to go? Oh, shucks. Yeah, well, there'll still be another opportunity. But yes, any of those facilities out there, it's pretty eye-opening for all of us. So
Yeah.
good deal. Okay, there were a couple meetings that I attended. One was the AB 617, and John Gwynn, our past city manager, was the co-host of the meeting. And so he had a few words to tell about himself, that they have a co-host and they just introduce themselves and a little bit about their personal lives. And he shares how he started in Lost Hills and how he got here and in his position where he is even now. And then, of course, he also talked about the fact of what we are trying to do with our education, economic development, and whatever else chapter's involved in. And, you know, there's not enough opportunity to talk to these people, and we need to keep doing it just so that they begin to learn and to understand why we are in the direction that we are. There was a good presentation from the county on land use. The county public works manager, Yolanda Alcantar, was the one that did the presentation. It was simple because the group wanted to know how you can work with projects as well as how you can get some funding. And they need to, everyone needs to understand how it just doesn't happen overnight and how you have to work through the process. So also in attendance at our meeting was our public works director, Michael James. And he's beginning to understand too, because we have projects that we'd like to see money directed to, and yet it's not allocated in any way yet. But I believe that we should get some before the funding absolutely stops, and it has to be within this year. So things should be happening pretty quick. So we'll get an update soon. Then the next meeting was on March the 10th, which was a community task force. And the task force has been in operation already for several years. And what's interesting with that is Pastor Coyle leads this group, and many of the people that come, well, they usually come in person, but this time is on Zoom, share what their organization or what they've been involved in. And sometimes you can contribute information out as well as gather information. And so that's always successful for us. If you ever have a chance, like from the rec department, they talked more about sports and what their program is at this time, but then they're also for the Easter drive that's going on. And then they also shared with the sunrise services coming along. I mean, there's just a lot of information there that if you ever had a chance, especially now that it's on Zoom, that you can pick up some information. It's an hour long, 9 to 10, and then it's over. So if you're interested, we'll get you on the list. But that's all the meetings that I had for this past week. Okay. Consent calendar. We have several items on the consent calendar. As you know, standard is checks, payroll, overtime, and minutes of March 2nd. Then we also approved a final map for track 7346 for phase 1, for phase 2, and phase 3. We also accepted pedestrian bridge construction on 7th Standard. We also accepted, or we will accept, the public improvements installed for the sewer line capacity at Callaway Canal Crossing. We also have to accept the public improvements installation for the sewer plant for 7th Standard phase 2. And then number 11 is to authorize the release of requests for qualifications for professional auditing services. So is there any question or comment on the consent calendar? Okay, we'll entertain a motion. That's okay.
I will make a motion to approve as read.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Espinoza. Roll call.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Management reports. The first item on the management report is One Legacy Public Education Partnership.
Certainly, Mayor and Council,
This item is before you for consideration. It's a no-cost item to the city. We were contacted by, I believe his name is Gavin with One Legacy coordinator, requesting, they are initiating during the month of April as part of their campaign, educational campaign outreach to the state or cities. They're partnering with cities to help reach out to individuals to promote the One Legacy Donate Life for members to sign up. This is, as you heard, very much the same program that DMV has, so there's nothing different that we're doing. We basically would be pushing out information electronically via our social media outlets to the community, to our residents, letting them know about what Donate Life is, kind of the stories you heard just earlier this evening, the benefits of it and how you can sign up. And so the request before you is, one is to participate in the campaign. And then two is authorizing the use of our city logo. What they'll do is on their website, their database, there'll be a separate page for the city of Shafter that people go in and sign in. And then we'll be pushing out information that'll have our logo. We'll publish on our social media platforms, Facebook, our city website, Twitter, and then in terms of our utility bill, there's no cost. We're not printing flyers or anything like that, but our utility bill does have a section electronically that you can put a message electronically that will send, we'll just put something in there like Donate Life. Here's where you can go and push that out. But like I said, the request is to participate in the educational campaign and using our city logo, and it's at no cost to the city to participate.
Any questions of staff?
I just want to mention, hearing Christine, I have heard her testimony. I just want to say, thank you very much, Christine, for that, the gift of life that you gave to someone. I know that is just something so precious. You can't, that's just, life is life. That's just a precious thing. I just want to say thank you for the courage that you took, because it's a tough decision. It's tough and scary. I'm sure it was scary a moment and when you were going through all that. And I just want to say thank you for doing that. And so that's all I have to say.
No approval. Is this just information only?
No, it's approved.
Is it?
It's a council action item, so we do need a motion for approval, as I said, to participate in the campaign and to use the city logo.
Understand. I have nothing to say, but I will make a motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a motion by Runner Pro Tem Givens, seconded by Councilmember Lopez. Roll call.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Very good. Have fun. We'll be watching because we'll all get to have it in our hands too and see it. So very good. Next item is the First Amendment agreement between the city of Shafter and the county of Kern for the lease of 236 James Street.
So, Mayor and Council, this item is coming back to you. It's not a new topic. We've negotiated with Kern County Library System. I'll have David Franz give you the particulars. Might catch you off guard, I hope not. As to the lease, but this would allow us to temporarily open the library here in Shafter. David?
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, as you know, the city entered into a lease in 2018 with the county of Kern for the county to operate a public library in that space. Since March of 2020, the library has been closed due to COVID, and it has remained closed due to budget constraints at the county. This agreement would allow the library in Shafter to reopen 2 days per week from April through June. The city would reimburse the county for actual expenses not to exceed $4,000 per month. And I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, David. I just want to add, Mayor and Council, one of the points we have stressed on the county is that this is not going to be long-term sustainable for the city to pay for a service that we believe our taxpayers are already paying through their property tax. This is a county service that should be provided to our residents without us having to reimburse. The county's projected to receive close to 200 million as part of the American Rescue Plan Act that was recently approved by the president. And so, that should replenish some of the money. So I'm sure they can find 120,000 in their budget to reopen their library on a permanent basis going forward. So we did stress that upon the county that they need to make sure that they reopen it at their cost, not the city.
And again, they did agree, agreeing on terms of money, yes, but agreeing to actually open it when it's all said and done. They did say yes. There's no.
Not for July 1. That's still something.
No, for the 3 months.
Oh, yes, for the 3 months, correct.
They're not backing out of this.
No.
Okay.
That was one of the key points that we talked about to the county administrative officer's office, and the head librarian, was to make sure that they had the capacity to provide the service for those 3 months. They assure us that they do.
So based on having approval tonight, we could see the library opened up as soon as.
April 1st, which is that first Thursday. So they'll be open Thursday and Friday. So April 1st happens upon Thursday. So library services will commence that April 1st and 2nd at Thursday and Friday.
Thank you.
I have a question for Dr. Fran. Once we go through the first 3 months in June, when June comes, what is your plans after June 30th? Or what is the game plan then?
David, let me answer that if I can. Mayor and Council, that's a policy conversation that we'll need to engage in. We've previously shared with you that other communities have started an ad hoc committee with a couple council members. We've presented that concept to you. That we will come back to you prior to the expiration of this 3-year agreement.
Okay.
So this agreement is just to bridge us over through the end of the fiscal year, but we're going to come back here in the next month or two with the framework for an ad hoc committee to involve the community so that we can continue those conversations for the long-term sustainability of the library.
Okay, I just thought you already had a plan based on this.
Yeah, well, we're going to continue to reach out to the head librarian, to the county administrative officer office, and Supervisor Couch to make sure that as they go into their budget discussions, just like we are, to make sure that they budget 120,000 to reopen the library on a permanent basis, July 1. So that's where we'll be asking for your involvement to reach out to Supervisor Couch and the other supervisors at the county level to make sure that they understand our situation and to make sure that they budget for the reopening of the library July 1.
May I ask why we would wait 2 months to form an ad hoc committee or have a structural plan, knowing that bureaucracy between government entities doesn't happen overnight? So as
I said, correction, I said in the next month or two.
But we only have 3 months.
Yeah.
I mean, in 3 months, this is gone. And if the county hasn't said that they're going to open up on July 1st, we're going to be trying to hustle something in a 4-week span, which has never worked out well.
So I understand your point, and we were busy putting the lease agreement amendment together. That's, if tonight you approve it.
Agree.
I'm sure we can learn something back sooner rather than the month or two.
Thank you. Good. And I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, any other comments before I? Okay, we have a motion by Mayor Pro Tem Gibbons, seconded by Councilmember Lopez to approve the amendment to lease James Street.
Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Gibbon,
Yes.
Lopez.
Yes.
Espinoza
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes. Next item is a resolution to amend the fiscal year 2021 building department budget in the amount of $125,000 to increase the appropriations for professional services.
So, Mayor and Council, this will be, I'll have our chief building official participate here in the staff report. By way of background, this is an item that was included in the last council meeting. It was included in the resolution for all of the budget amendments. And hindsight, this item should have been pulled from that resolution, being that this is a standalone item necessary to bridge over the building department with plan checks. And so we're bringing this back to you as a standalone item so that you will take it under consideration. We do have the remaining months for the fiscal year to cover in terms of this amendment. Just earlier, I learned that We finally processed billing for the last couple months, and that puts us over budget by approximately $39,000. So this 125 would cover the last 2 months worth of billing that we incurred, plus bridges over through June of this year for plan check inspections in the building department. So with that, I'll have Dennis, who will provide you more information that justifies the request for the $125,000 amendment.
Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council, yeah, the item before you tonight is to consider adopting Resolution 2787 for $125,000 to the Building Department professional services budget. As we mentioned at the last council meeting on March 2nd, we've just seen a large uptick over the past several years, and then specifically this year. But we have good knowledge that that work is going to continue. As well, there's a chart that we gave in the staff report, and we presented it last time, or I presented it last time. That chart shows the difference of a summary of revenues and expenditures, but it shows this uptick's been steady and increased over the past decade. The building department's professional services was 130. Due to the number and size of projects we have, it's totally encumbered. So the 125 will kind of get us by, like Gabriel mentioned, through the end of this fiscal year. Some of the work's already underway, some of it is projected, but for sure we plan to use that full amount just because of the large projects we have underway. A lot of it's going to go to Amazon, just so you know. Originally, when we did the building department budget, we budgeted $825,000, which is a pretty high number for us, but a good number. To date, we're at almost 1.2 million collected. We see a conservative eye of 1.6 easy. With the additional 125, we're going to be slightly under $1 million. That still puts us over $600,000 of net income that we'll bring in this year on top of all our expenditures. So with that being said, and that there's a table in there that kind of lays all that out too in your agenda package. But with that being said, staff has recommended for council adopt resolution number 2787 to approve a general fund budget amendment from the general fund unassigned fund budget in the amount of $125,000 to the building department for additional professional services. So I'm happy to answer any questions you have.
Any questions? Very good.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Lopez, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Givens.
Roll call. Councilmember Alvarado,
Yes.
Givens,
Yes.
Lopez,
Yes.
Espinoza,
Yes.
and Prout.
Yes.
Good job, Dennis.
Okay, we're going to move on to city manager comments and reports.
So, Mayor and Council, a couple items, and then I have some other items to provide you an update with. The first is a customer satisfaction survey. By way of background, it's a common practice for universities to reach out to municipalities, nonprofits, special districts. Part of their graduate program oftentimes has a capstone project that they have to do as part of their graduation. Some graduate programs either require the student to write a thesis, or they do a group capstone project in real world, if you will. And so I received a notification by CSUB professor that the public administration graduate students were looking for projects. And so in conversation with the professor and some of the students and trying to help them out, we reached the idea of doing a customer survey with our residents. And checking with staff, it's my understanding we've not done it, something like that, that will get us feedback from our residents. The students will talk about the process, but with that, let me have Rachel, who will be involved in helping these students disseminate the information, make the introduction of the students, and then she'll talk about some of the community outreach. So, Rachel.
Good evening, Honorable Mayor and members of the City Council. Via Zoom tonight, we have Lucia Costa, Eric Celedon, and Gabriel Gueda, who will present to you guys the project and the customer survey. And I will talk about outreach at the end of the presentation.
Hi, good evening. My name is Luisa Costa. Eric is unable to join us due to a conflict with his work, but we are in very much communication with them. We do have a PowerPoint presentation available for you guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen really quickly. Give me one quick second.
Mayor and Council, us just doing that, we're sharing with you the list of questions that have been drafted. We want to share them with you, so feel free to provide input or feedback on the questions. If you want to make changes or modifications, well, that's part of the presentation this evening for you, is to provide some feedback if you so choose to do so.
Okay, can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so this is just a brief presentation on what we are trying to do. So the purpose of this from our end as the grad students for CSUB is this will allow us to learn how to conduct surveys in order to make improvements for a specific organization. Conducting surveys are a big part of how organizations gain their feedback and make the necessary changes to provide the best service possible. So going forward, the purpose that this survey will have for you as the city of Shafter is that this will allow the city of Shafter to remain transparent and open a dialogue with their community members and gain an insight on how well the city government is providing for those they serve. The survey will allow you all to get a firsthand feedback directly from those who are impacted by the decisions that you make. So some of the key points that our survey will be on are city services, public safety, quality of life and or city conditions, and city maintenance. So then our timeline that we have for this would be if approved today, to begin survey distribution by March 22nd. The survey deadline would be April 16th, and we would present you with your results by the week of May 10th. So I will go ahead and stop sharing my screen for you guys. So I know that he had mentioned that he had the survey with some questions, so we're gonna leave that up to you guys. If you have any questions for us, we can go ahead and answer those for you.
So yes, you guys should have been presented a copy of the questions. I don't know if you've had time to review them, but yeah, we can maybe have till Friday for you guys to review the questions. And then if you guys have any feedback or any changes you would like made to the survey, I can send those to the CSUB students. And then like Luisa said, our timeline for the project, if we can, is to begin outreach next week. If all possible Monday, if not, it can be anytime next week. Run the survey through April 16th. Which will give us approximately about 4 weeks. And then, as she mentioned, present the results back to you before May 10th. And then just to touch back on outreach efforts, we plan to push this out with a flyer, an announcement, and provide a QR code that will route folks back to the survey. And we plan to push this out via the city's Facebook, Instagram, use the police department's Nextdoor account, and the Learning Center, our newsletter, which is the Shafter What's Happening newsletter, an insert in the April's utility bill. We will also provide it there. Send out a city's Blackboard message via text for any residents that have signed up with that platform, the Shafter Press. So we will also push it out through the Shafter Press. And in addition to that, we will share with our community partners. So we plan to share it with the Chamber of Commerce and have them push it out to their businesses, our local schools, listen to Shafter, Shafter Healthy Start, all our local service clubs, and Parks and Rec. So if you guys have any questions, I can take those now, or you can email me or call me, and I will get any of your concerns to the students.
Just real quick on your timeline, you said March 16 was to start?
No, start next week, so March 22nd.
Oh, 20.
That would be the soonest, and run the survey through
20.
April 16th. So that'll give the students 4 weeks.
So start March 22nd and then end April 16th?
Correct.
and then bring back the report or on May 10th
Yes, so the week of May 10th.
or the week of?
Yeah.
Okay.
If
And-
we can, maybe I'll work with Lisa, maybe we can bring the report back. I think the council meeting is May, the first week of, I think it's prior to the May 10th. So we can try to push to present maybe then, the 4th.
And I'm sure it's already answered, but I'm just for the record, it's going to be in Spanish as well, right?
We have not talked about that, but yes, we can provide it in Spanish. Did you say something, Lisa?
Oh, yes, we will be having someone translate the survey for us. So there will be an English version and a Spanish version.
I didn't understand.
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Yes, we will have it in Spanish.
Okay.
Yep.
And then everything that we promote as in this, for this survey is going to be in Spanish as well for
Mhm.
people to, okay.
Yep.
To participate.
And via all the different platforms that I mentioned.
Thank you.
What's the end game? What are we reaching for? Or is it just something that the students do and they have to do it to receive a grade?
Yes,
What are we doing with the information when it's all done?
that's basically, I think, up to,
So, Mayor and Council, this is, I'm sorry to interrupt, Rachel. It's just a tool that gives you sort of a report card from our residents in terms of how they rate our services or how they prioritize the different categories of quality of life. And so it's just informational. What we do with that as a city, you as a council members, you can take that information, you learn as to what the residents are saying, what those priorities are, whether it's recreation, whether it's roads, public safety. And then it could be part of the strategic planning discussions that you have input from the residents. It may not be in time for that though, but you can use part of the budget. If there's an overwhelming percentage of the community that feels that, hey, you know what, we should put more money towards streets, sidewalks, or the case may be, you have data from your constituents in terms of what they think and feel in terms of their perspective of where the city priorities should be. So it's just information for you.
I like it. I think that's a good way for the community to get involved and put a big sense of direction of what they want and what they foresee for the city. So I think it's a great idea and good job to them. Thank you.
thank you.
I also agree. It's an excellent idea. I think there's tons of people in our community that don't come to our city council, don't get on our webpage, they don't just either for whatever reason. I think this would be an opportunity for them to share what's in their hearts and what's their, in their minds. I think this is a great idea. Awesome idea.
Thank you. And as you review the survey, you'll notice towards the end of the survey, we have added a question for the resident to provide the area of Shafter they live in. So that way we know as the students collect the data, where these residents reside, whether it's north, south, east, west, just to kind of help us know where it's coming from, the information.
So it's correct that the city or the staff came up with these questions? The students didn't have the questions?
Both staff and the students.
Okay.
Yes.
Just for clarification, the students came up with the questions. We have reviewed it at our staff level. We're sharing it with you to provide input. So you also get to participate in the survey questions for any input. So it's gone through the student preparation. The students probably did the research. They looked at other surveys from other cities and compiled the most common questions. And they provided to the executive team who provided feedback. And this version you're getting contains input from what the students prepared, what the executive, your city staff has provided input, and now it's before you to provide your input before we go live with it.
What's the class that's proposing this?
It's the graduate class, Louisa, it's a Master's of Public Administration.
Yes, so we are in the Masters of Public Administration program at CSUB, currently taking the survey class.
Very good. Thank you. Very good. Any other questions from council?
All right.
I
Councilman.
like the idea. I think, more information is better than guessing.
It's a best practice, and a lot of cities do these regularly. So, all right. Mayor and Council, next item is we want to present to you a proposed budget schedule. This is the workshop schedule for the budget coming up. We want to get that on your calendars, and that we want to make sure that we have a calendar moving forward so that as we go into the budget season, there's full agreement from you based on your availability of when those workshops will be. So we have some tentative dates that I think Bryce is remote. And we have one slide, I believe.
Yes, good evening, Mayor and Council. Let me pull up and share the screen real quick. So, make sure this is up. Okay. If you can see it on the screen is a proposed budget study session schedule. We are, as City Manager Gonzalez mentioned, we are preparing for the next fiscal year budget, which is fiscal year 21-22. On the screen is a proposed council study session schedule for your consideration as part of the process to adopt the next fiscal year budget. So the proposal is suggesting a total of 4 study sessions for budget topics, and then 2 regular city council meeting agenda items, one for final review and adoption, and then a backup date in case additional questions or inquiries or amendments are requested by council. The 4 study session topic or budget sessions, I should say, are proposed to begin in the schedule before the regular council meetings on the same dates. So April 6th, April 20th, May 4th, and May 18th. The subjects that we have at this point in the schedule, the first session will be revenue projections, discuss budget and fiscal policies, and the follow-up with strategic budget direction. The second session is we're discussing the status quo budgeting process, and we'll be providing a little more information on that in a report out to council separately later this week or early next week, but also discussing format and organization of the budget. Third session will be overview in the general fund specifically, as well as any new general fund requests will be brought to council. And the fourth session will cover essentially the other funds, special, enterprise, and capital funds, discussing new requests. And at that point, we'll also be discussing the appropriations limit, also called the GAN limit. And then on the June 1st and June 15th would be the regular agenda items on, the agenda items for the regular city council meetings for final review and budget adoption. And then June 15th is the backup date at that point. So we are seeking essentially council feedback if this schedule is agreeable or if there's another approach that council wishes to take in regards to the budget schedule.
I'd like to see a copy of that. You can leave it in my box or whatever. Could have had it tonight so that we know what we're doing as we spread out. And I'm usually good about making it work in the schedule. We'll see what the rest of the response is.
All these days are same days as our meetings, correct?
No. Pardon me?
So we're proposing like trying to schedule off regular meetings. So we're proposing to do it on the same council meeting nights. Instead of starting at 6, we'd start at 4 or 3 to have the budget workshops and then go into the regular meeting like we've done in the last couple of times that we've.
That works for me. Perfect for me. So.
Okay. But I'd still like to have a copy of that.
Certainly. Tonight is just to get the dates and then we'll provide more information about the budget process itself.
I guess I misunderstood him. I thought he had said that some of them were not on council nights. And so any other information, questions? Good.
Yeah, certainly. So is it council consensus to have the workshops prior to the regular council meetings?
Well, no, yes,
Yep.
that's fine.
All right, thank you for that. All right, Mayor and Council, just a few more items. I've been sending you emails regarding our bill that's going to be going through Senate committee hearings, SB 385, related to the MCCF matter to have CDCR relinquish the 99-1-year lease. So as I shared with you in my email to you, the hearing is confirmed with the first of the, well, as you know, the legislative process has got to clear committee by committee before it gets to a full vote. So the first committee hearing is before the Senate Public Safety Committee next Tuesday, March 23rd at 9 a.m. The meeting will be via Zoom. If you ever attended or testified before one of these committees, they're not lengthy in time. At best, you get 15, 20 minutes before the committee members because they got hundreds of bills to go through. And so time is limited. Witnesses in terms of testimony is very limited as well. You typically don't take a group of individuals. So if it's okay with council, typically as the spokesperson, the mayor, we have some talking points for the mayor to participate. Myself, and then we will have Howard Golds from the city attorney's office available on the call in the event there's any specific questions related to the settlement agreement that the city has between the city and CDCR going back to the mid 1990s. And so that's pretty much the three witnesses that we would have because we'll have barely like a minute or two for each one of us to make our points. The Senate committee will then ask questions of us. There'll probably be an opposition group, which may be CDCR, who will be there also. They'll take testimony from that. And then usually the committee members won't make a decision. They'll just move on to the next topic or next bill. So the meeting should be streamed. I can't confirm for certain. If it is, we'll send that information to council. If you choose to and you're available, you can watch it live streamed. And that way, if not, we'll just provide you an update after the fact. But that's a go for next Tuesday. We'll be having it over at the PD conference room. So that way we minimize the number of screens that will be on for the committee. And so we made arrangements for next Tuesday at 9 o'clock over there. Okay. As I shared with you on Friday, we received estimates for the American Rescue Plan Act that the feds have now approved. The cities of the cities, towns and villages, approximately 19,000 in the country, are estimated to receive $65 billion in direct and flexible spending. City of Shafter is expected to receive approximately 3.8 million. The way it's going to be provided is in 2 installments. The first installment will be made available to the city 30 or 60 days after the bill has been signed. And then the second installment will be a year later. Cities have approximately 3 years through 2024 in which to spend the money. The guidelines will be provided to the cities by the U.S. Treasury. So they do have guidelines. Unlike CARES funds, these funds have a little bit more flexibility on how you can spend it. I was on a webinar this afternoon that provided more information, and it's a lot more flexible. You can use it to pay utility bills, give businesses support. You could do it to replenish city services. They do caution that these are one-time monies. And so we have to be very mindful of how those monies are spent. There'll be more, we can have further discussion as part of the budget process, obviously, of how we appropriate those monies and how you allocate those monies. But those are one-time monies. So something to be mindful is not to start new programs, but to strategically look of how do we do one-time spending of these monies, if that's how you choose to do so. The bill or the act also includes grant funds for infrastructure. So that will give us cities an opportunity to compete for some of these grant funds for infrastructure projects. The details on what type of projects will be funded are not out yet, but there are monies in the bill that would allow us to maybe pursue some grant funding for other infrastructure related projects, water, sewer, streets, that type of projects in nature. So more to come on that as that has just been signed, and a lot of those guidelines are being developed now. But that was preliminary information that the League of Cities put out as of this afternoon.
When you said that part of this would be now, does it start April 1st or does it start July 1st? Or?
They said they don't give us a mayor and councilor. They didn't give us a specific date. They said that funds would be available 30 or 60 days after the bill was signed. I understand the bill was just signed last week. They're still working out the details of how cities can submit for those monies. So they did it consistent with HUD or CDBG guidelines in terms of the appropriation. And then there's 2 categories under CDBG. There's entitlement cities and non-entitlement cities. We go through the county program, so therefore I believe the non-entitlement. So the way, what they said in the webinar is that we'll be submitting to the state for our portion of monies for that first installment. But don't quote me on some of this information because this was just very preliminary based on what they know is coming through from the federal government of how they're going to disperse the monies. But that initial installment is just for half of the 3.8 million that's earmarked for the city. And then that other half will be a year from now. So if we receive our monies, say May 1st of this year, we can't submit for our second installment until May 1 of 2022. So that much. Correct. It's calendar year, not fiscal year. So that's what they know. That's what they've shared. As we get more information, obviously we'll keep you informed. And then obviously there'll be discussion at a policy level, at the council level of what you do with those monies and how you spend them. But there is more flexibility, as I said, unlike the CARES money that was very specific for response to COVID-19 pandemic. Speaking of future workshops, just a friendly reminder, we have a study session tomorrow afternoon, starting at 3 o'clock for what we call the preliminary strategic planning workshop. Our city clerk.
It's 4 o'clock.
Oh, I'm sorry. Said 3 o'clock here. So apologies, 4
Yeah,
o'clock.
well, I think we originally talked 3 o'clock, but it's 4 o'clock.
Yeah, I must have not have gotten the time change from this weekend. Apologies.
Yeah, well, talk to Pete down here.
Our city clerk wants me to remind you that if you have not already, to complete your 700 forms. They're due April 1, so you got another couple of weeks to do that. State of the city, we did a virtual recording of the state of the city of Mayor Proud providing an update to the community. Typically, I understand that this would have been a live event, but obviously circumstances dictated that we do something different. So that's out. Kudos to Rachel, Yasmina, and Johnny for all the work they did on the technical side. If you've not had a chance to look at it, you'll be like, hopefully you're impressed with the work that was done because it's a top-notch professional rate. And Mayor Proud did an excellent job in communicating to the community of all the different things and exciting things that have been going on. So,
I might add too that all the staff really contributed to it. I mean, we did put a few weeks into it so that we didn't leave anything out. Probably some little thing was left out, but it really is very reflective of the community at this point. I was pleased with it. So.
Yeah. As the mayor, she communicated, but it's a work of all of you. You provide the direction and it's up to us to get it. And you're right, Mayor Proud. It's a lot of the staff getting the work done out there in, day out. So that's out there. If you want the link, our city clerk will send it out to you and then you can push that out. We have it on social media. We have it on our website, but we'll go ahead and send it back out to you if you want. And you can just push it out to your constituents, family, friends, to let them know all the good things going on. We continue to wait for Kern County to get moved into the red tier. There's a quick COVID update. We do meet the matrix for the red tier, but we do have to continue to meet those matrix for another week. And if we are able to maintain as early as next week, the county would be moving in from the current purple into the red tier. That just means restaurants can now serve indoors, retail, the percentage of capacity increases. And so more businesses will be able to reopen as we continue to move forward. Vaccination operations continue through the county. The county sites are both there's one in Arvin, there's one at the fairgrounds and one up the road at Wasco. So they've opened up the different categories. And so myturn.ca.gov is the website for individuals wanting to know if they're eligible for the vaccine. They can go to the website and get information on that there. And then lastly, the numbers. The county reported 77 new cases today. That brings the total to 105,020 countywide. And Shafter experienced 10 new cases just in the last 4 days, bringing our total cases to 3,455. That's a significant drop even from just last week, where the number of cases were 76. This week so far, it's only been 10. So hopefully the word's getting out and more people are getting vaccinated. And so our numbers continue to improve. And my last note is today marks my 1-year anniversary. And so survived, yay. And what a first year it has been. And I just want to thank you, council, and the organization and the rest of the staff for their support in my transition into the Shafter family. And so I'm very pleased to be here. And with that, that concludes my report. And I believe that our Public Works Director, Mike James, has a couple items to provide you an update on.
Honorable Mayor, members of the Shafter City Council, as you may recall, prior to your regular March 2nd meeting, we hosted a study session covering SB 1383. I just wanted to update the council and let you know that since that work session, we've been working on developing an ordinance, which is state required to commit the city to fulfilling the mandates. And we hope to have that ordinance before you as early as next month. At that time, we also plan to have a compliance action plan that'll lay out the milestones and dates for accomplishing those milestones. And then the highlights of the action plan will likely include continuing work with a consultant to keep us on task and keep us on schedule. And there likely will be a request for proposals that we'd like to release to have private haulers tell us how they would help us bridge the gap between the service we provide now and the mandated organic waste diversions that are required with the new mandate. Moving on finally to the, also on March 2nd, we staff briefed the council on the development of a local roadway safety plan. This is actually a regional effort. City staff, as well as representatives from other cities, are developing a plan countywide. This plan, the main intent of this plan is to qualify other cities, including Shafter, for additional federal funding. That's one example of this federal funding we used was the guardrail project on Laredo Highway. Now the state is requiring that we furnish this a plan such as this before we qualify for future rounds of funding. So beyond the funding component, this is going to be a valuable tool to help Shafter and other cities prioritize future road infrastructure projects. So, but for now, there is a component to this that involves citizen engagement. And I think I brought this up at the meeting that we're ready to commence the citizen engagement part of this plan. And for now, our approach is to reach out to local officials and community leaders to have them gauge their interest in participating, a committee of sorts of about 6 or 10 individuals that'll meet a couple of times, once as early as next month, and then probably 2 or 3 months later once the plan further progresses. So I just wanted to let you know that we're reaching out to individuals right now within the community to gauge their interest in participating in this stakeholder group. And of course, if there's any updates, any thing to pass along, we'll do that through your regular scheduled meetings. And if you have any questions, any concerns about this effort, you can feel free to reach out to me or the city manager. And that concludes comments from Public Works.
Thank you.
Mayor, council, nothing further.
Okay. We'll need a motion to recess for closed session, and the item has to do with conference on labor negotiators, Government Code 34957.6.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Councilmember Espinoza, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Givens, and it's now 7:13. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. We are carried to closed session. Very good, thank you.
No, my own, Council adjourned at 8:05, no reportable action.